His friends leave him because he is weak. But he is an overpowered man who hides his powers. Yaguri is walking in a corridor filled with corpses and bullets flying everywhere. He walks toward the camera and asks where Yusako is, his caretaker. He continues walking toward a door. That door suddenly opens. We see a woman holding Yusako as a hostage. Yusako asks her what she wants, but the woman doesn't answer her question and asks her to shut up. Yaguri happily enters the room. He is very happy after seeing Yusako. Girl tells the Yaguri to not move. If he moves even an inch, then she is going to blow Yusako's head. In the next moment, we see that some waves appear and women suddenly collapse to the ground. Yusaku is shocked and wonders what just happened, but Yaguri simply hugs her and asks her that we should return now. After that, we see older Yaguri woken up by his classmate Tomochika. She is looking very panicked. He opens his eyes and asks her who she is. Then he suddenly remembers that she is his classmate with a weird name. He remembers that before going to sleep, he was in a bus with his classmates going on a trip. He asks her if they already arrived. Tomochika replies they haven't and tells him to see what happened. Yaguri looks around and sees all of his classmates on the ground dead. He notices that one of his friends is pierced with a strange thing and asks what it is. He decides to look outside the bus and notices something wrapped around it. He thinks it could be a giant snake or lizard. He picks up a mic and throws it toward that thing. We see the thing that pierced that guy starts moving. Yaguri looks outside the bus and sees that this thing is a huge wyvern. Monster is charging its fireball and is about to attack the bus. After that, to save his classmate, Yaguri decides to use his powers. He focuses his mind and says one word: die. In the next second, the wyvern suddenly collapses to the ground. Yaguri tells her that they are safe now. Tomochika is confused and asks him what's going on. Yaguri pulls out a console while telling her to calm down and tell him what happened. Yaguri starts playing games. Tomochika tells him that this is not a time to play video games. After some time, Tomochika decides to tell him what happened while he is sleeping. She tells him that when their bus passed through the tunnel, they suddenly appeared in this field. Everyone was confused and wondered where they are. Suddenly, a girl entered the bus and greeted everyone. She introduced herself as a scion, granddaughter of the great sage. The teacher got up to complain, but she simply destroyed his head. She acts like nothing happened and asks everyone to stay calm. Everyone is shocked, and the girl asks them not to disturb her, else everyone is going to meet the same fate. She tells them that her power level is 530,000 and then destroys the driver's head. She then decides to explain this whole thing to the students. She summoned everyone here because she is looking for sage candidates. She reveals that this world is ruled by sages and their numbers are quite low. Therefore, she summons them to increase the numbers of sages. Tomochika believed everyone was going to get blasted and closed her eyes. However, upon opening them, she saw several students glowing. Unfortunately, she was one of the few who didn't glow. Cyan then reveals that she installed the battle song version in all the glowing students and asks them to check the logos on the screen. Confused, Tomochika asks her friend if she can see anything. Her friend uses her fingers to touch the air, explaining that she sees colorful letters saying status. Cyan then reveals this system can only be used in this world and is called the gift. Everyone must use it to try and become sages within the next month. Tomochika raises her hand to ask a question, stating that she didn't glow or see any logos. Cyan simply replies that some people are not compatible and she should deal with it. Tomochika is shocked, especially when Cyan reveals that if nobody becomes a sage, they will all become livestock to produce magical energy. Cyan then explains that their first mission will start in an hour, and they should try not to get wiped out right away. She walks away, leaving Tomochika sitting down, revealing that she doesn't understand anything. Her friend mentions there are some details regarding their mission on their screen. It turns out their job is to escape from an incoming dragon. Tomochika doesn't believe something like that exists. Yuzaki, one of the guys, tries to act like a leader, suggesting they work together and discuss their strengths and weaknesses. Everyone writes their name and stats on pieces of paper, but Tomochika notices that there are 4 students, including her, who didn't glow. One of them is Yaguri, who's sleeping. They all complain about his carefree sleepy time until they notice everyone else stepping outside the bus. They also decide to go outside, but Tomochika stays behind to wake Yuri up. The other girl tries to convince her to leave him behind, but they suddenly hear 2 guys arguing. It turns out Yuzaki won't let the 4 come with them. The delinquent complains, but Yuzaki tells him to shut up because his class is the general. He decides to turn into a douche, breaking the bus chairs, and explains that this is the power of a gift. He's only level 1, but he's way stronger than those 4 pleb humans. The other girl tells Yuzaki that if he's strong, they should protect them. However, Yuzaki replies that this is part of the plan, and everyone must use their gifts. Tomochika cannot believe that her friend would betray her, but Yuzaki reveals she actually did. Tomochika knows that Yuzaki must have forced her. Yuzaki then steps outside and locks the door. They try to open it for a while when they suddenly hear a noise outside. Tomochika thinks it's a dragon when suddenly something crashes against the bus. The guy freaks out, and Tomochika notices the other taken out after explaining the whole thing. Yaguri realizes there's a big problem. He has no way to recharge his console in this world. He then gets up, mentioning that according to Yuzaki, it's now safe outside. Tomochika asks if Yaguri did something, but he replies the dragon crashed onto the floor and died. She knows it's a lie, but they decide to get out through the window. Upon checking the surroundings, Yaguri notices they can go to the hills, city, or forest. Tomochika then points out that something is flying in the sky. After observing, she realizes it's 3 of their classmates. Yaguri is impressed by her sight at long range and asks if he should kill them. She asks what is wrong with his mind, but Yaguri simply replies they left them behind to die. The guys start getting closer, confused because the dragon is dead. One of them notices that Tomochika is still alive and complains that he was planning to turn her corpse into a zombie so that he could go wild. The guys talk between themselves, complaining about turning a corpse into a zombie and using her as weird. Hearing those words, Tomochika realizes they clearly cannot be friends. Suddenly, one of the guys casts a huge fireball that barely misses Tomochika. The guys keep talking between themselves about how they refine their magic and how one of them is a healer, the other a hero, and the last a necromancer. The guy who casts the fireball then tells Tomochika to come to his side without resisting. She's confused about his request, but the 3 simply reveal they want to spend their fun time with her. Tomochika realizes they're all after her body. Yaguri is impressed that she has the guts to say that in that situation. The necromancer guy complains she and Yaguri seem too close, but Yaguri simply says he will manage even the conversation. He points at the fireball guy and tells him to die. The other 2 laugh it out but get shocked to see the guy randomly hug the floor. They ask what happened, and Yaguri replies he simply ordered him to die. He tells them not to move, but the necromancer tries to check on his friend. Yaguri tells him to die as well. Only Fatso remains, and Yaguri says that if he moves, he will die. Yaguri promises to explain his ability and tells Fatso to check if the other 2 are truly dead. Fatso complies and uses his healing ability, mentioning he can cure anything in an instant. However, his friends don't move. Toma realizes that Yaguri is the one who killed the dragon, but he simply didn't want to explain what happened. She gets mad at those words, but Yaguri explains that Fatso is dumb, so he needs to explain in detail to him instead of her. Fatso complains that Yaguri went too far, but our boy simply explains he only did it because they tried to attack him. He then explains that his ability is called instant death to any target. In fact, he doesn't need to tell people to die. He just needs to think about it. Fatso says that's impossible, but Yaguri would love to test the theory. Fatso accepts defeat and tries to get close to Yaguri, pretending to be scared, but he's preparing to attack him with a magic attack. However, Yaguri simply tells him to stop. Fatso is confused, and Yaguri explains that he also has an ability that allows him to know if someone has the intent to kill him or not. And to make it worse, he can combine the 2 abilities. In short, he doesn't need to know who's trying to kill him. Fatso gives up in tears, and Yaguri asks why they're so cocky so early after getting those skills. Fatso then reveals this is the 2nd time the 3 of them came to this world. They defeated the demon world and returned to their world. Yaguri asks Tomochika if the 3 missed any classes, and she replies they didn't. Fatso reveals that when they returned home, only some hours had passed. Yaguri decides to kill him, but Fatso asks Tomochika to help him. Tomochika replies she is only alive because Yaguri saved her, therefore, he should deal with it. Fatso calls her cold and pulls out an item, promising that if she puts it on him, she will become his servant. In short, it's a slave collar, and he puts it on himself. He acts like a pervert while walking toward her, but she tells him to stop. The collar starts strangling him, and she asks if there's a way to stop being his master. Fatso obeys the order, mentioning that she can transfer it to another person. She does it, transferring it to Yaguri, who decides not to kill him. Instead, Fatso should head to the forest full of monsters and wait there. But before leaving, Fatso should leave all his items and never tell anyone about Yaguri and Tomochika. Fatso obeys orders, and Tomochika asks if this is okay. Yaguri replies that Fatso will always betray them. Therefore, it's better this way. She then asks if he isn't suspicious that she might turn him in. Yaguri simply replies it is what it is. After all, he's the one who decided to protect her. She blushes, mentioning she doesn't know how to reply, and that they never spoke much before. She asks why he decided to protect her. Yuri initially replies he doesn't know why, but after Tomochika's insistence, he admits it was all because of her soft and juicy developed plot. She blushes and gets angry, complaining that men are all the same. Meanwhile, Cyan is in bed doing whatever it is that a guy comes to report, mentioning that the first mission was cleared with 4 casualties, 2 with no ability, and 2 S ranks. He mentions the S ranks died instantly without warning and thinks it's an instant death magic. However, she returns the possibility and returns to bed.